Hey, I'm Dr. Melissa, soul strategist, master healer, and I solve unsolvable problems. Welcome, Mindy. I'm so excited to be with you this morning.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, Melissa.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be really fun.
Me too.
I would love to hear a little bit about what you're called to bring forward this morning.
Yeah, today I would love to talk about mental clarity and focus because I feel like there's been times in my life where I am so focused and so efficient. I'm like, everything happens so quickly. And then there's times like that where I feel like I'm being pulled in all different directions. I'm just having a hard time with that clarity, with that, like, get things done, with that like almost vision of sharp and preciseness. And I feel like there's something going on in my brain and my mind that is causing me not to be clear. And I'm not sure, is that diet? Is it exercise? Is it meditation? Is it too much computer time? Too many things going on? So I'd love to talk to you about that because it's really noticeable for me right now that I just feel pulled by too much and just unable to fully focus like I'd like to.
Oh, absolutely. And that's so frustrating,
Yeah.
especially as a mom and a business owner and everything else. Like,
Well, I will say that since being a mom, this has been the case. And I've thought a lot about, is it because moms are constantly distracted, right? From infants, like, okay, I got to feed, I got to change the diaper, I got this, do that. And then even at this age, my son's turning 9. Mom, I need this. Mom, I need that. Mom, I need this. So we train our brain to stop focusing. We train our brain to constantly be distracted, right? And so, how much of it has been the training of motherhood that has caused me to feel that lack of ability to like fully focus?
oh, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you said that because with the 5 kids that I have, I remember those days. I mean, there was constantly, it was kind of like mama, 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 field trip form here. Someone needs
Yes.
the top off their cup, someone like whatever, all the time. And I remember thinking how much I wanted to teach my kids how to be present
Yeah.
and how to not be distracted. And one of the things that I really had hoped to impart to them before they graduate and they leave my house is how to multitask on that infinite platform instead of trying to do 6 things at once and you're only giving like a sixth of your attention to each one and you miss stuff and whatever. um, to instead be able to multitask in a way where like going for a walk with my kids is good for my body, it's time in nature, and it's quality
Right.
time with them, but it's 100% bandwidth to all those things.
Yeah.
um, because I think you're right, I don't want them to grow up with the same struggles of the constant distractions.
Right. And technology is one of the, I feel like kids growing up with so much technology now is just training their brains to constantly be distracted, right? Whereas kids used to play with blocks and play building Legos. Now they're wanting to be on their iPad. And then when you take away the iPad, it's that like, I feel like it's an addiction. So an
Oh, for sure.
addictive withdrawal, right? And then they can't focus on playing Legos because they're like thinking about the iPad. They want that dopamine rush, right, from the lights and the games. And yeah, it's crazy. And I feel the same way in myself. Like constantly, I work from home, so I'm always like, oh, I should just check that email, make sure everything's done, make sure everything's done. Well, it's never going to be done, is it? It's never going to be done.
Right.
So why do I even think that way, right? It's like my brain is pulling in that distractions.
For sure.
Yeah,
Oh, this is gonna be really awesome.
I'm
uh,
excited.
And I know we talked ahead of time about using cacao to enhance the session.
Love
Awesome.
Cacao.
Cacao enhances meditation and yoga. And because I work with clients like you to align you with your soul, with your divine self, the cacao helps remove the resistance, right? And helps create that alignment. So I would love to hear about what you're drinking in your experience.
Yeah, today I have Guatemalan cacao, and I I love all cacaos, and I choose my cacao based on what activity I'm going to be doing. So for me, the Guatemalan is more meditative. It's more inward, and it really opens up the heart and releases that resistance. I always talk to energy healers and coaches like yourself, and I say, oh, work with cacao because it's just going to make everything so much easier. So I am doing Guatemalan right now to open myself up and allow myself to just receive this session. And um, it's a little bit like truth serum too. So it keeps me from making things up and just say it as it is to you. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you're in a place where it's safe for you to close your eyes.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, and we're just going to do a kind of a head to toe clearing and grounding, which is going to help me energetically feel where some of the stuckness comes. And then I'll invite you to just start speaking, and that's going to really give an energetic voice to where everything else is that needs to be released. So let me have you start taking some deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And drawing your attention to the top of your head, I invite you to release any tension, any stuck energy, any cobwebs or belief patterns that no longer serve you from your scalp, from your forehead, from your thinking brain, your emotional brain, from in and around your eyes, from in and around your ears, and I'm pausing where I'm just pulling out stuff that's coming up as we go. Dropping your attention down to your cheek sinuses and being really open and willing to release that energy that's moving, that's ready to go in your left cheek sinus and all the way up to your left ear. Good. And dropping down, releasing from your teeth, your jaw, your throat, your neck. And then from your collarbones, your shoulders, arms, hands, fingers. Dropping your attention lower, releasing from your heart, your lungs, the muscles in between your ribs, your upper back. Then your solar plexus, your belly, your mid-back. Dropping your attention lower, releasing from your pelvis, your sacrum, your hips. On down into your thighs, your knees, your shins and calves, your ankles, your feet. And I invite you to feel, sense, or imagine the grounding cords coming out of your body, extending down through the surface of the earth, wrapping tightly around the earth's energetic core, and drawing up into your body that earth energy, feeling it pull up through the grounding cords, up through your feet, your lower legs, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your belly, your chest, your neck and throat, all the way up to the top of your head. And then imagining the most warm, white, divine light pouring down from above through an opening into the top of your head, rolling down over every nook and cranny of your body, and filling all of the spaces that were created as old energy was released. Dropping your attention down to your heart space, that space really right at the base of your breastbone, the bottom of your breastbone, filling that space with the divine white light pouring in from above and the earth energy drawing up from below. And adding your own energy of joy and love and peace and abundance to completely fill the space. And when that space feels full or the process feels complete, let me know.
It feels good.
It feels really good.
Yeah. I love this feeling.
I do too. In myself and in people that I work with. I love it.
It's so good.
And I invite you in that space to say more about the clarity, to give it voice, to see what opens up for you in the open vastness of your amazing heart space.
Yeah. So what comes up first is that I've had a hard time making decisions on several, like every major area of my life right now. And that inability to just decide and move forward is what causes the daily, hourly, momently mental fogginess, because my mind is like in the background, like, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I move to Seattle? Should I move to Mexico? Should I um, be in this type of relationship? Should I, like, do I want to build my business like this? Do I want to build it like that? And like, there's all this chatter that's going on in the background. And if I just made decisions, it would quiet. And that's really interesting, because I feel like I've been having these lack of decisions for a few years. I would say it's been a while. And so I think the question really isn't about the mental clarity. It's more about what's keeping me from just making a decision. And then that will. Does that sound right to you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you feel when you said that, it feels right, and your whole heart energy just went. That's where some of the fear is.
Yeah, I feel like my heart has been closed, or like hard to break through. I'm having a hard time in that. Just usually I could just drop down into my heart and know exactly what's right. And it's almost like the disconnect is happening. So I can't get those clear, like, yes, 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 or no, 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 or like the doubt is covered up my heart and I can't get that clarity.
What is your process when you're meditating or when you're connecting to yourself, in terms of connecting really to the ground or to the earth, connecting to the divine, or both?
Yeah, I do my all. I do my, my grounding chords, and I connect to the divine. And recently I've realized connecting. So I used to work a lot in the Akashic records, and that was a big thing for me. And I realized that guidance wasn't really supporting my life, and the decisions weren't supporting my life. And I think I disconnected so much from myself in that process, constantly asking my master's teachers and loved ones for advice, that um, it almost like created a disconnect within myself. And I see working more with um, like the plant medicine, so much of working with that is getting back to your own internal knowing, right? And connecting to the earth and connecting to the divine is like, yes, you want their answers, but you also want to get back into your own internal knowing. And it almost feels like over the last few years, I disconnected from that. And I was constantly asking for answers out here. And there's some repair that needs to be done. Like, even though I thought I was doing the right thing, but
Oh,
that
absolutely.
makes sense.
I feel that, and when we first opened the process, um, there was a whole lot of fear that sort of left cheek sinus into your ear, and that typically is very old, ancient, past life kind of fear. As we went down, the there was a definite disconnect between your right and your left brain. So they were like not wanting to be in the same room with each other, which makes it really hard to be clear, right? Because you're one whole
Yeah.
being. And if the two
Yeah.
halves of your brain don't want to be in the same room, they're not going to communicate very well.
Yeah.
It's completely shut down. But when we got to the part of opening to the divine energy pouring through you, that right left brain disconnect completely melted away.
Yeah.
It was as if your body was rejoicing to connect with this divine energy that was pouring in.
Yeah.
And what it feels like to me energetically, that aligns with what you've said, is there was, um, over the past few years, maybe a looking for external confirmation of what to do,
Yes.
such that you really turned off or no longer trusted, just the just the inner knowing, which to me is like the most powerful thing I've got. Um,
Yes. I could see the moment, actually. It's so interesting. Like, as you said that, I see the moment that it turned off.
and I've
Wow.
seen it happen with a lot of spiritual people, because we're so soul driven and so driven to be the people that we were created to be, and to
Yeah.
do the right thing, not like some externally version of right, but that you want to do what God's will is for you, right? Or source, or the universe, or however you think about it. And so I've seen a lot of people have the same problem, whether it's with muscle testing or use of a pendulum or something else, that there's something that takes them away from just knowing I'm aligned to my divine self. I'm connected, and this is what's right for me. And it's like, well, I think it is, but let me go check with the with the pendulum, or
Right.
in the records, or
Things like the Akashic records or the pendulum are the tool of our internal knowing, but it's really not. We're just asking someone else,
right,
right?
because
We're
you're not
asking
trusting the inner knowing, right? It was, so when you think about, like, if you were in a relationship with someone and you ask them for their advice, and then you're like, okay, well, I don't really trust your advice, so I'm going to go ask like 4 more people just to be
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
right?
Yes, yes, that is exactly what I experienced, because I feel like I had really great inner knowing, and then I was like, oh well, you're not good enough, and I'm going to use these people, these beings, right? And then that inner knowing kind of was like, well, like I know it's there. It's just like the cord is missing. It's like I'm not plugged in, right?
Absolutely. And that sense of trust or relationship is kind of gone. It's like if you went to the trusted friend for advice and then never believed it and checked with 4 other people every time, they'd be
Yep.
kind of like, well, what are you asking me for? You
Right.
like go do your
Right.
other thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah.
Yes.
How does it feel in terms of the openness of that channel, um, the openness of your connection to your inner knowing right now?
It feels like it's repairing.
I
It
really
feels
feel
like
that.
it's repairing. And it's funny, like I can bring back to another moment far earlier than the one that I mentioned a moment ago, where this like turned off. And I was working with a coach actually, and she it was the first time I had ever worked with a coach, and she kept telling me, "You need to quit your job and do your purpose. You need to quit your job and do your purpose. Like you got to quit your job. This isn't good for you." And then I liked my job. Like I made a lot of money. I had a great job. I barely worked. Like it was the most ideal job I could have ever had at that age. And um, really at any age. Like let's be real, it was great. But I stopped listening to myself because this coach kept saying, like, you need to do this, you need to do this. That's not what you're meant to do. You're meant to live this, you're meant to live this. And it took me down a really bad path and a path of a lot of self-doubt. And like, well, she said this and she must be right because she's channeling and I'm not. And yeah, and that's where it really started. And then it's like was pushing away, pulling away, pulling away, pulling away, pulling away until it broke. Not totally broke, I still have that inner knowing. It's not totally gone, but it's just not as strong as it was when I was younger before those times. So
Well, and the other piece that's come in is the mind's pattern of second guessing it.
yes,
So
100%.
yeah, so instead of it just being a like, wow, this inner knowing about whatever's hit me like a softball in the gut, and I just know this is the answer. Now the mind's kind of like, well, but don't you need to ask like four people,
Yes,
right? And then
that
that
is
becomes the mental
exactly it.
chatter.
Yes, that is it. So how do we repair that? How do
Let
we change those patterns?
yes, let's energetically repair that right now.
My favorite.
Um, so, and I would say this will go in two parts. We can energetically repair it right now. And then it will be up to you to choose what pattern you want to replace that old pattern of the inner knowing coming in and the mind kind of challenging or disputing it or wanting confirmation um, from other sources. Because we can energetically remove it now. And if the behaviors don't change, the old energy will just come back.
Of course. So I already know I want that inner knowing to be so strong that there's no doubt. It's just like, yes, I want that security and that confidence in that inner knowing. And I want that direct channel to always be on.
Yep.
That's what I want. Like, I don't, whatever else results of that, but like that, it's like that gut feeling to be so enhanced, even, right? Like, not too painful, but just like, yes, confidence, knowing, like, yes. Because I
And
do, yes.
when you get that knowing, are you comfortable then telling your mind if it wants to go down the path of thinking about all the permutations and possibilities and have you thought of this and have you thought of that and maybe you should, research this or whatever. Are you comfortable with a pattern shift for your mind to be able to say, you know what, I appreciate it and I got this one?
Yes, that is exactly what I want.
Because that will reinforce the channel and the knowing and that trust in that
Yeah.
relationship
Yeah.
without dismissing or belittling the mind
Right.
and its contribution. It's taken good care of you all of these years. And it has no part in the inner knowing.
Right.
And
Right.
to be honest, neither do any of these external people, because when you are solid with that inner knowing and that channel is wide open,
Yeah.
you are your divine self, right? You are
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
You don't need advice from anybody else, right?
Right.
Or anything channeled or any
Right.
confirmation, because you just know.
I just know. That is it. That is what I want.
That's awesome. Well,
So
let me
it's not really that I just need to drink more green juice so my brain is optimized.
correct.
It might help, but That was the path I was going down. Was like, oh, I need more supplements and green juice. Right. Okay.
This is actually much more sustainable, right? Because
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with anything external that you have to get. You can source all of it completely from within,
Yeah.
which is sort of that internal abundance and internal security that I get so excited about anyway, because
Yes.
you can source everything that you need from within.
Yes. I love it. I'm so excited.
Let me invite you to close your eyes again and let's just really clean out that channel. I envision this part, it's, it's almost like we're sweeping out the cobwebs, the dust bunnies, dusting off any any shelves, anything up in this area so it's just wide open.
Oh, well, it's definitely moving.
Yeah. There's so much power that's generated from really even your third chakra, solar plexus area that just is helping to fuel the cleaning of this channel. And now the beauty, the kind of the finishing touches, I'm just going to really clear out, almost like a detox, clearing out in your brain and your mind that pattern of essentially needing to overthink things that you already know to be true.
I feel my whole brain tingling.
Yeah. When your left brain was arguing about it a little, it doesn't necessarily want to let go of that job. There we go.
Can have a better job.
There we go. Now they're both open and balanced again.
You know, I probably shouldn't admit this on video, but I feel sometimes like since I started my spiritual path, I've gotten less smart. And I think that this is why. Because I used to think I was so sharp. And then I felt like little by little, I'm just not as smart as I used to be. I'm not as smart. I'm not as smart. I'm not as smart. And we've uncovered why I have felt that way.
I think that's also really natural.
Yeah.
You're certainly not the only person on a spiritual path who says that. And you're
Really?
absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay. Glad it's not just me. Or maybe not. I don't want anyone else to feel that.
Oh, there's so much energy moving.
Yeah.
This is awesome. You know what, I'll kind of keep this energetic clearing process going for the next few hours until it feels entirely complete.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
How do you feel now? Is this a good place to draw it to a close?
Yeah, I feel like I need to go take a salt bath and keep pulling
Oh,
it out of myself, which I may do.
that would be really good.
Yeah. Yeah, this feels good. So the pattern is replacing as the old energy is drawn out.
Yes.
That's amazing. I just love doing this work with you. I'm one of your biggest fans. So thank you for having me on here.
Oh, you are so welcome. And it's just such an honor and a blessing to be in the space with you. Your whole being is always so like ready and willing to release. And it's so fun to be in the space.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you and appreciate this time. So thank you.
Thank you.